gotta believe.
Good morning, everybody out there in YouTube land. Well, as you can see, I don't know if the camera picks it up or not. Weather has turned to crap, and so is the riders. They're finished for the season, for getting to the playoffs. What a display of football that was last night. Wow. Got totally dominated. Totally dominated both lines of scrimmage. Both lines just destroyed. Destroyed. It's going to be interesting to see what happens now, or not now, next season. Who's going to be kicked out, fired? Really the question now. Got a feeling it's probably going to be Dickie. He'll take the fall for this, and so that'll be a whole new change in coaching. O'Day, I think, probably be okay. Shouldn't be. We didn't get no help from them bringing in any free agents, or they just seem to believe that this was the team that could take us to the Grey Cup. Now that's the sad part of the whole thing. Grey Cup's in mosaic and we don't even get a ticket to the playoffs. Pathetic. So many players I was disappointed in last night. You know, one of them was Pete Robertson. I really liked his play, but I'll tell you, every time they did seem to have a hole plugged up front, they'd pop out the outside, go out his side. The only guy that played pretty decent up in the front line was Brown. They had that new Kramer in there, and he seemed to do good on a few plays, but he was getting blown right back too. Calgary would come around the outside. One time Philpott had the just on a sweep play. They had three guys in front of them and they just mowed down our guys. We tried plays to shake and bake. Two plays, I believe, for running plays. They turned out to be complete garbage. Didn't go anywhere. Maybe it's Moss's poor play call. As far as fine though, he did okay. He got rid of the ball. I think we only had 5 sacks, so that was an improvement. Plus we had a touchdown pass. But other than that, he did miss a couple guys. He's got some mobility. Our only play next year, and I mean next game, is we've got to try Dolagala. He does have that height advantage over Fine, that's for sure. Like sometimes that was an issue for Fine, not getting it over the receiver's head, I mean over the lineman's head, but on the line. I think old Dano might be, Dan Clark, that might be he might be gone next season. I think he'll just retire. And Ferland did all right, but Vaughn, forget it, he was hopeless. And even Cooper Richardson, he blew a lot of plays too. He even had a penalty on hole for one of them. Yeah, I can see a whole revamp there. They're gonna have to put up some money to get some old linemen, that's for sure. That is the hardest thing to do in the CFL, is get a decent old line, because 60% of your old line are Canadians on every team. So it's hard to find 3 really good Canadians playing the O line. Anytime we've had a good O line, men like we had Shepley there, he was pretty good, but of course as soon as you get a good one, NFL comes looking, and off they go. I think we'll be all right in running back. They'll probably get Morrow and Hickson, decent running backs. But as far as the quarterback, like I said, you gotta have a look at Dolegala next game, see what you got there, and then who knows? They're talking Bo Levi coming here. He had that pectoral problem, and then went to his shoulder. Then he broke his leg, and then he had shoulder problem. So he's, I think, 30 or 32. Maybe he's injury prone now. Like, they didn't hesitate to pull him when he threw more interceptions than completions. So do you take another cast off from Calgary Stampeders, or you go out and try to find your own guy? I don't know. I'm lost, completely lost. Sad, sad, sad day in Ryderville. Calgary, I'll tell you, they're going to be reckoned with if they can keep that running game going like they do. Even a third string running back got over 100 yards. And they got one of the best carry. He's a really good running back. They'll be tough in the playoffs, that's for sure. I don't know if Rourke will come back for BC. That's their only hope, I think. Otherwise, Calgary will beat them. And then I guess you have to see that semifinal. If they're continuing that running game, then they'll give Winnipeg a good go for their run for their money. But on defense, Leonard, I think he's toast. Or if he does come back, he'll come back at a bargain rate. That's for sure. Like I said, Robinson didn't play very good, and I like Pete, but he sure didn't have a good game yesterday. And Clark and Brown in the backfield there, man, they missed some. And Dean, oh, Dean missed so many tackles. It's pathetic. It was bad. Every time we did have a good chance at a stop, and swinging out to a guy, and then Dean missed him, and so did Clark. Clark missed so many open fielders. Poor Adam, he had to take a head injury because there comes storming through, and he's trying to knock him down at safety. What's that tell you about your running game stop? Yeah, look forward to a lot of changes in Ryderville, that's for sure. Lots of changes. Big question at quarterback. And who can they get for the offensive and defensive lines? Like defensive lines, I blame that all on their assistant managers that are supposed to be. We've got Jones in there. He's one of the assistant managers under O'Day. You gotta go out and find some more guys. As far as I'm concerned, O'Day shouldn't even be at these games. Should be down searching for new talent. His whole staff should be. Well, I thought I'd give you a rundown of players I think that should be on the team next year and be invited back to the training camp. It's been a rough season, so I don't know if I'm never right about these things, but this is just my feeling of which guys should make it and which guys should be invited back. We'll do it alphabetically here. Alfred Moreno, I'd bring him back if you could get him. He's been the only spark on the offense. It has been him and his run backs, but he'll probably be asking for quite a bit of money, so I kind of doubt it. Awachi, you probably have to bring him back. He's a natural, and you have to keep the Canadians on there, and he's pretty was pretty handy. Logan Bandy, He's another Canadian. I think you're gonna have to keep him. He did a pretty good job filling in for Clark. And who else? Place Brown. I don't know about him, if they bring him back or not. It's debatable. Miles Brown for sure. He's a young guy, he's only 25. And he didn't play too bad actually this last game, and he's made a couple stops all by himself. Christmas, forget it. Marcus Christmas, forget it. Dan Clark, well, I don't know, he'll probably retire. He's having a hard time getting through a season without getting hurt. And then Jeremy Clark, a defensive back. And I don't know, he's been off and on and missed a lot of plays. Hard to say with him. Shaq Cooper, running back, I kind of doubt it. Charbel Debris, I think you got to bring him back just because he's a Canadian and he's not that old anymore. He's not that old, I mean. He's only 25. I like those Canadians, and he didn't really do too bad. Delkey, Jordan Delkey, he made the team this year, and he didn't play too bad when they got him in there. Larry Dean, though, I think he's a dust in the wind myself. But he's up there 234. He really got beat bad last game. Couple tackles right out in the open field, and he missed them. Mike Edom, I gotta keep him. He's a Canadian and he's a safety. He's getting up there in age. He's 33, but he's a pretty valuable player still. He's calls your defenses back there in the backfield. Shaq Evans, forget him. He's gonna be dust. He dropped too many passes, way too many passes. And he's a high-priced help, and gotta be able to find receivers out there. Cody Fajardo, I would keep him if we can keep him at the right price, but he doesn't want to play here anyways. He's had enough of them. But I don't know. I wouldn't. Right now they're saying Bo Levi Mitchell, but either one of them, if I signed either one of them, would be under a contract that they're going to be not too good. It'll all be all incentive. Logan Ferlin, 50-50 on him. He actually was better than Johnson, but you got to keep. He's a Canadian, and same old situation. Mason Fine, he didn't play that bad. He's just a little short, but he played pretty good. He kept in there. He got his pass. He's got a really good arm, decent arm. Jordan Hughes, he's just a long snapper. Evan Johnson, though, man, I don't think so. He didn't play very good this last while, and pretty poor. Jones, Tevin Jones, I don't know. He wasn't too bad. He actually made some nice plays there earlier on in the season when a couple of guys were injured. But Laval, probably have to keep. He's another Canadian. Brent Lothier, they say he might get a shot at the NFL. It's hard to say. I'd like to see anybody that can get down there. I'm happy for them. There's AC Leonard, forget it. Lennius, man, I hope he can come get, he's handy wide receiver. We got him back. He'll keep him around. AC Leonard, forget it. Too high-priced help, and he just didn't perform for what he was getting paid. Nick Marshall, he's pretty steady back there. He actually only got beat a few times real bad this year, but he still was our leading probably interception guy. And Justin McInnes, he'd probably come back. He's another Canadian. You need them Canadians. I can see that over and over and over. And there's one guy I really like, that Roland Milligan. He was decent guy. Moncrief, I don't know. He was a guy covering all the time, covering the hardest guy to cover. So yeah, him and Sankey were probably the top two back there. Kyra and Moore, Swerve, I don't know. Off and on there too, but he just didn't get that many targets. Our passing game really stunk. picked in. Maybe he might be the odd man out. Hard to say. He'll get a chance to get back. That's for sure. Reeves wouldn't be bad. He wasn't too bad. But he's an American and he's playing DB, so you can bring in a lot of DBs at camp. Cooper Richardson for sure. You got to keep him around. He didn't really do too bad. He's only 24, you know, and he got beat a few times the last couple games, but in general he was pretty damn good. I'd like to keep Pete Robertson around, but he played terrible this last game. But I liked his play. He was leading guy. If we can get a couple more guys in the center, you know, losing Moreno this year, I think killed that defense. Sankey for sure. He's our leading tackler guy. Shake and Bake, be nice to keep him around for sure. But like they say, he might get a shot in the NFL, but hard to say. St. John, he's another Canadian. Comes in handy in the offensive line. He was our #1 draft pick, and he was seen for the first few years. He barely made it out of training camp without being hurt. But this year he seemed to be a little tougher. Vaughn, forget it. Tyron Vaughn, he's gotten way too slow, and he just watch this. And if you got a replay of this last game, just watch Vaughn. He gets beat so many times. It's unbelievable. They just come right around him like he's an orange traffic pylon. We've got to find two good tackles in the offensive line somehow. Jake Hardy, it's the same story with him. He's a really good special teams guy, but he always seems to get hurt. We drafted him #1 way back when, and then he got hurt right off the bat. And he's another Canadian. Hughes, I don't know. I don't think Hughes will be coming back. I think he's returned. Keenan LaFrance, I think you got to keep him around. He's getting up there in age too, 31, but he's another national. Or a guy we really need back is hopefully Anthony Lanier can come back. He was our dynamite guy up front, and then he had a head problem, so he never ever got come back. And who else is still on there? Dolagala, I'd like to see him. I hope they start him tomorrow. You know, Frankie Hickson, we got to keep him back. He's got to come back. And him and Morrow are a really good 1-2. If we can keep both those guys healthy and going. One guy I couldn't understand was Mika Tetz. Well, I'm so happy we drafted him. I mean, not drafted him, signed him early. He had a really good year before. And he was free agent. They signed him, and I was really happy. He's a Canadian. He's playing on the defense. He'd have been really good to relieve for Dean, because Dean was older, and by the second half, he just seemed to fly off the radar. And then the guy that really pisses me off is Duke Williams. What a waste of money and space he was. Like my dad would say, he said they should send him home on a bike against the wind. But, yeah, what a waste of money. Well, that's about it. All the rest of the practice squad, I don't really know much about them. But I don't know, this has been a really disappointing season, and this next game is going to mean so much. All these guys are going to be playing for their ticket back to the training camp next year. So they either put up or shut up in this game. And I'd really like to see Dolagala start. So, like I said, time will tell. I'll always be a Rider fan, no matter what. I'll be at training camp next year, seeing what they got for sure. And as far as the rest of this season, I'll be watching all the games. And to tell you the truth, I'll probably be pulling for BC, especially if Rourke can come back. He could actually revive the CFL and bring back a lot of viewers, because he was really dynamic, and you know, it was really good to watch. And boy, he could make a lot of problems for other teams in the playoffs. Even Calgary, they started off in their power rankings about 7th, and everybody was writing them off. But look how they come around. We were way up at #2 when they were 7. What's that tell you? Well, anyway, that's about it. It's my roundup of all the players. Well, most of them, anyone that I know a bit about anyway. And go Riders, go.